Hi guys, hi, how's it going? How are you doing today? Hopefully today finds you well. Today I'm doing a video I'm so excited to do. I do it every single year, and that is my makeup inventory. I'm sure you saw the title, and that is what we're here for today. I know that some of you might be used to some people taking pictures of the products in their inventory and talking about the numbers in addition to you seeing the products, but I just did a makeup collection and declutter series on my channel over the last several months. I will include all those. I just have way too many products to pull them all down, take a picture of them, and set it up here. But there are videos on my channel that you can watch if you want to see the entirety of my collection. And if you've watched those videos already, or if you know anything about my collection, you know this to be true. I don't think I could take a picture and get all of them into frame anyways. So we're just going to say that. And this is the second time I have filmed this particular video, because the first time I kind of was all over the place and felt like it just didn't come out as awesome as I wanted it to. So I am refilming it today, so you can have it tomorrow, hopefully. We are going to be going over my 2023 product inventory in my makeup collection. If that sounds like something you're interested in, please keep on watching. For those of you new here, hi, my name is Donna. I'm a lover of all things high and colorful beauty and self-care. I also work in the beauty industry as a field leader for Ulta Beauty, so I get a lot of education in my position. I like to bring you that education here on my platform, but ultimately, I just like to talk about makeup, and I'm assuming if you're here, you also like to talk about makeup. I hope that you are looking for a chatty channel, because if you are, that is what you have found. I hope that you find that this channel brings solace to your soul in the way it does mine. Hopefully you'll want to subscribe before you go. And with that said, let's roll into this makeup inventory. I have a lot of categories to go over with you, and I'm actually kind of excited about what I have to bring to you today. Ultimately, my inventory is on a spreadsheet. If you are a spreadsheet kind of girl, then you are going to love this video, because you're going to get snips of my spreadsheet in this video. I will have my playlist on my collection and declutter tagged somewhere, either in the description box or in the video somewhere, but you will have the opportunity to go in and look through all of my categories, if you will. I do have 8 different categories, and each one of those categories is broken into like subcategories. I'm going to tell you what I ended up with last year, what I ended up with this year, whether the category has grown or not. I'm also going to share with you at the end what I had incoming, what I had outgoing, what my totals looked like in 2020 and beyond, and where they are today, so that we can determine how my inventory got to the place that it is. I'm really excited to say that every single category in my inventory has depleted except one, and that one really isn't depleted or not. That one just has a new subcategory added to it, because I got enough of these products that I figured I needed to put them into another subcategory within the bigger category. Let's roll into this and talk this through. So the first main category in my inventory is lips, and there is no rhyme or reason into the big categories and why I have them in the way that I do. That's just how they are in my book, my Excel book, and that is how they are on in my mind as well. In the category lips, I do have 8 subcategories. So we have bullet lipsticks, liners, and then balm, treatment, scrubs, and primers are in one subcategory. Liquid lipsticks, lip palette, gloss and oil is in one, and crayon and stain is in another. Again, no rhyme or reason to this. So for the bullet lipstick category, last year I had 63, and this year I had 70. I don't know why this grew. I do know that I received, quite a bit of lipstick actually in gratis this year. I do think that the brands went, well, we couldn't produce a lipstick for 2 years. Nobody was really buying a lipstick. So this year in gratis, this is what we're sending you, because we need to get rid of them, or because we want to reintroduce you to lipsticks and make you love them all over again. I do know I got a lot of lipstick in gratis. I also think I purchased 1 or 2, but I also know I decluttered quite a bit of lipsticks as well. So I'm not sure why this category grew, but it did. It grew by 7. For lip liners, I had 59 last year. This year I have 53. I did declutter quite a few of those, but I also used up, I think, 3 this year. And you guys will see my year of empties later. I'm recording actually the intro to the year of empties today, and you guys will see it later on this month. Balm, treatment, scrub, and primer, I started with 39 and I ended this year with 44. So I'm starting 2023 with 44 balm, treatment, scrub, primers, which is 5 more than last year. But I do think, again, lip products was somewhat of a push in our gratis over the last year. I also know that I really take advantage of a lot of sales in like lip balms because my daughter goes through lip balm like nobody's business. She really does suffer from chronic chapped lips, and so I buy balms or hold on and hoard the balms that I do get for her. I also know that I got 4 Dr. Pawpaw, they're body balms. They're like for lips, cheeks, eyes, and they're so sticky. There's absolutely no way I will wear those on my face anywhere. So they did get put into my lip balm category because I can't see wearing them anywhere but there. So that would be 4 of those 5. For lip palette, I had 1 last year. I have 1 this year. It's the same lip palette, and honestly, I should probably get rid of it at some point. I think it's about 5 years old now, but every time I open it to use it, it's still really emollient, still really creamy, and it doesn't smell. So I'm not going to get rid of it just to get rid of it. And I do use it during like, you know, holiday seasons or whatnot as body paint. Maybe not only myself to like make like bat wings or Christmas trees or whatever on my face, but also on my daughter's face. So I'm not going to get rid of it just to get rid of it, but I don't foresee this lasting forever in my collection. It is in a place where I think it could be decluttered probably sometime in the very near future. For gloss and oil, last year I had 92 and this year I have 90. I'm really kind of excited that this went down because gloss is a problem category for me. It's one of those categories that every time I see a gloss that I think I'm going to love, I purchase. And I mean, just case in point, on points, I just purchased like 4 or 5 new glosses. This is a problem category for me. This is probably a category that should go into my no-buy. Lips as a whole should probably go into my no-buy for 2023, and you guys will see my beauty rehab series coming up as well. But I'm really shocked and surprised and elated that this went down, even if it is by only 2. And then for crayons and stains, last year I had 23, this year I had 23. I am actually shocked that this didn't go up. I kind of have been enamored by lip stains for the last couple months. I just purchased on points 3 more brand new lip stains. I do see this category going down on the year because I want to hyper focus on some of the lip crayons that I have in my collection that I know are old. Bite Beauty, I have a couple of lip crayons from Bite Beauty that are so old they probably should be decluttered. And 2 lip stains that I have that dry my lips out like no man's business from ABH. So I bought the lip stains from Fenty, and if I like those better, I am going to declutter the ones from ABH because I just don't foresee me using those over one that is more hydrating to my lips. So I do foresee this category going down. But for lips in entirety, I had 2 subcategories that grew, 2 subcategories that stayed the same, and 3 subcategories that depleted. And I ended up with 307 lipstick or lip products in 2023 versus the 309 last year. Again, this is a category I can see going on to my no-buy list because I have a serious problem with liners and lip glosses, if for no other reason, for those 2 subcategories. Oh, and I guess and balms. But those aren't for me. Those are for my daughter. So, all right, the next category I have here is brows, and I'm really excited about this category. So this category, I have 5 subcategories: gel, pen and pencil, conditioner, highlight, and pomade. And for the gel category, last year I had 10, this year I have 6. I really found my perfect brow gel, and I had a bunch of brow gels in backup that when I went through my backup drawers, you guys will see that on my collection and declutter, I just decided that I didn't want to hold on to the ones that I didn't love anymore. So I have 2 that I really specifically love, the ABH Clear Brow Gel and the Benefit 24-Hour Brow Setter. 24-Hour Brow Setter is my favorite. I think I have 4 in backup right now. The ABH Brow Setter, there's a time and a place for it. It makes your brows like glued to your head and exactly where you need them to be, whereas the 24-Hour Brow Setter is a little more movable and real. That is all I have left in my collection, are those 6 that I had in my backup drawer, and all the rest went away. And I will use them. They will get used. And all of those came to me in gratis, so I didn't pay a penny for any of those. For pen and pencil, I had 11 last year, which is far too many, and this year I have 4. I did declutter quite a few. I also used one for sure up an entirety over the last year. Really proud of how I have depleted this category. I just had some that I wouldn't wear anymore, like Auburn brow pencils. I don't even do my hair natural shades of life anymore, so it just made more sense to get rid of the ones that I won't be using. And then conditioners, I had 1 brow conditioner last year, and this year I have none. I did get rid of that one through declutter because it was the Benefit Bravo. I, number 1, hadn't used it in over a year. Number 2, it just seems like one of those products that maybe you don't need, and it was an extra step in my makeup application or my nighttime routine or whatever it was that I was trying to use it in, that I just wouldn't pull it out and use it. I'm not often in this room when I'm doing my nighttime routine, which is why I started putting it on before I did my makeup application. I didn't love that, so then I just quit using it. So I just got rid of it, and that category will no longer exist next year because I don't see me ever wanting to purchase another brow conditioner. I have 1 brow highlight. It's the same brow highlight that I've had forever. It is just the Highbrow by Benefit, and I like it. I just don't ever pull for it. It's still almost a full-size brow highlighting pencil. I just use like a highlighter, or I use a matte, eyeshadow shade or something, typically in my brows in my inner corner. I never think to pull that. Again, that could be something that leaves my collection, but I wasn't ready to get rid of it in my declutter, so I didn't. And then for pomade, I had 10 last year. I have 8 this year. The biggest reason why this category is so large, because I don't really use pomades in my brows, but these 6 items right here are counted in the brow pomade, and I use these more for liners. I do use them in my brows as well, but I use them more for liners. So because they are called KVD Super Brow though, and they're with my other brow pomades, I do have 8 left in this category. This entire category, there were 5 subcategories. 1 subcategory stayed the same, but the other 4 depleted. I had 33 products in the brow category last year. This year I have 19. Woo, so excited about that number. The next category I have is base. There are 7 subcategories in base. There's primer, foundation, concealer, corrector, setting or finishing powder, setting or facial spray, and then other. Other is the new category, and that category consists of these kind of things: the bronzy drops, the darkeners. For primer, last year I had 18, this year I have 22. Primer is one of those categories that I just don't like to squander, because I do use primer every single day, whether I'm using makeup or not. I like wearing a primer. I'm also a person who believes in a primer, so I believe that it does things to help your skin. It does things to help your makeup application. It does things to help your makeup longevity. I believe that, so I use it. I use it every day, regardless of makeup application or not though, because I also love, like, some of the primers that I have, like this one, will blur my skin just in and of itself. This one does a really good job of making my skin look glowy in and of itself. So I'm okay with there being 22 or 4 more in this category than what was in this category last year. Foundation last year I had 20, this year I have 22. Again, this one grew as well. But I think what's good about my foundation category this year versus what it was last year is last year there was a lot of foundations that I just didn't love and I just didn't wear and I just didn't want to wear. And this year, a lot of what's in my makeup foundation or what's in my foundation category is a lot of skin tints and a lot of tinted light coverage items. Like I think of the Tarte Cloud coverage. I think of the Cosmetics Nude Glow. I think of Dior Face and Body, you know, Fenty, Eavesdrops. Like there's a lot of foundation that I want to wear versus a lot of foundation that I won't wear. So even though this category has grown, I will wear every single one of those foundations. And I'm okay with this category having grown if I will wear every single one of those foundations. Concealer last year I had 15, this year I have 13. I did purchase some new concealers this year. I'm always on the lookout for the perfect next best concealer. And this will be a category in my beauty rehab when I think about it that will have parameters around it, because I did find 2 or 3, I think, really great concealers this year. And if I repurchase a concealer, that is going to be the concealer that I repurchase. I am trying to just work through my concealers at this point. I have far too many and I just don't wear them. Corrector, last year I had 3, this year I have 4. And then for setting and finishing powder, last year I had 15, this year I have 7. So happy with that number. I went through every single one of my powders through Shop My Stash this year and really quelled that category because I just don't wear powders. The ones that are in my collection, I have used all but 1 or 2, I think, that are new and came to me in gratis. And then the other ones I have used and I actually quite like. So I could see me wearing them. I don't feel like cakey when they're on my face. And then setting or facial sprays, last year I had 19, this year I have 20. I do believe that what I do have extra in my collection came to me through gratis. And then the other category, like I said, are these kind of things where they are foundation helpers. I am of the opinion these days, and I said it in the things I no longer buy video that I did not that long ago, I am not buying foundations to match me for the season. I'm buying a foundation that's going to match me most of the time, and per season I'm going to add in some lightening drops or some deepening drops or some bronzing drops to make it what I need it to be. And that's why this category exists, subcategory. So this category, the base category, I had 90 products last year. I have 96 this year, but there are 8 products in that new category. So had that new category not come into play, then this would be also a depleted category. So the next category in my inventory is face. And in the face category, there's blushes, bronzers, contours, all those things, highlights. There's also palettes in there in terms of like face palettes. So when I'm speaking through blush and bronzer and highlight specifically, those categories just have the duos and the singles, and then anything with 3 or more goes into a category on its own, as in a blush palette or a highlight palette. Anything that includes 2 products of 2 separate categories, does this make any sense? So if it has a blush and bronzer or a blush and highlight, those go into the face palette category, whether there's only 2 of them or no, because there's 2 separate products in there. So this has 7 subcategories. And to start with, we'll go with blush. This blush category, last year I had 69 and this year I have 70. And y'all, I decluttered like, I don't know, something like 18 blushes. So I feel like this should have been a depletion category, subcategory, but it definitely wasn't. I really don't know what happened here. I just know that this year I have 70 blushes and last year I had 69, and I decluttered so many that I had so many. So I'm happy that this only went up by 1 versus the like 18 that it could have went up. For bronzer, last year I started with 30 and this year I'm starting with 18. I really do think that 18 bronzers is my sweet spot. If I'm looking back at my previous, collection videos, I can say year before last, bronzer was one of those categories where I was like, I could bring in some in this category because I think I had like 19 the year before last and then ended up with 30. But I obviously have very strict guidelines on what I love for bronzer, and that's what I stuck with. I got rid of the ones that I just didn't love, and I am back at 18. I also know that I had a real strong pull to cream bronzers this year. I think there are 5 new cream bronzers in my collection this year. I love cream bronzer. Where I'm going with this is I'm not mad at this number, and this depleted by 12. So that's a really good number. I'm happy with the 18 bronzers that I have. For contour and contour palettes, I had 10 last year. This year I have 9. So contour and contour palettes includes just single contours or palettes that have like contour powders and a like highlighting powder, if that makes any sense. I just didn't have enough of either or of them to put them into 2 separate categories, 2 separate subcategories. So I did put contour and contour palettes into a subcategory all on its own. I do take bronzers as they are and contours as they are. I don't lump them together because I don't go back and forth between how I use one or the other as a contour or as a bronzer. I don't know that I necessarily need 9 products in my contour and contour palettes collection because I don't contour very much. But I'm not mad at the number in this category though either. For highlights, last year I had 105 and this year I have 76. I am so happy that this number went down by almost 30. I don't know why it went down by almost 30 though. I know I decluttered quite a few, but definitely not 30 of them. And I know that I took a couple of blushes and added them to my highlighter collection because I use them more as a highlight than I do as a blush. I can't say I'm mad at that. I mean, that's a huge depletion. So highlight is another one of those categories, much like blush. I can't just walk past one and go, ooh, that's pretty, and just keep on walking. I'm like, ooh, that's pretty. And then it invades my brain for eons until I purchase it. It's another problem category for me. For blush palettes, again, this is 3 or more just blushes into one component. They're all counted as 1, no matter how many are in that component. Last year I had 10, this year I have 5. For highlight palettes, again, 3 or more just highlights in one component, all counted as 1, regardless of how many is in there. I had 14 last year. This year I have 11. And for face palettes, again, it includes 2 different categories in one palette, the very minimum 2 different categories. I had 23 last year, and this year I have 15. I did a face palette collection and declutter video as well and was astounded that I started that collection video with 44 or 49 different face palettes, because I remember when I first started in this beauty space, I was like, why does anybody need these? I have so many. I have so many. I still have so many. I mean, I still have 31, but I am also really happy with the depletion, and I did bring 2 new ones into my life recently, and that was one of the hourglass ones with the elephant on it, and the NARS one, which I am so happy I brought into my collection. Last year in the face category I had 261 items, and this year I have 204. So huge depletion. Almost 60 items are gone in that category. The next category is lashes. I forgot to turn on my audio, you guys. I'm sorry, that whole category probably sucked for audio, but here we are. The next category is lashes. I have two subcategories, and those two subcategories are mascara and then primer or serum of some sort. I have become a connoisseur of lash primers. I love lash primers. I think that they do, like I said in the beginning, I am a primer believer, so that could be part of it, but mascaras last year I started with 39. This year I'm starting with 25. So we depleted by 14 in mascaras. Mascara is one of those things that I don't even have to buy. I get a ton of in gratis. So I always have an atrocious amount of mascaras. I always have 2 or 3 or 4 open at a time. I always go through a lot every single year, but I always end up with a lot at the end of the year as well. They're just an easy throw-in for gratis. They're an easy throw-in for a beauty box, which I no longer subscribe to beauty boxes, but for a while I did. They're just an easy product for brands to give away, so we get a lot of those. Really happy to see a depletion in this category though. And then for primer or serum, last year I had 5, this year I have 7. I fell in love with the Grande Lash serum and I have like 4 in backup, which is stupid of me honestly, because there is like a 3 and a 6 month like supply in each one of those. So I have probably 2 years worth of lash serum in my backup bins, but this category last year was 44 and this year it's 32. Really happy to see that depletion as well. For eyes, I had 7 different categories. I have liquid liner, pencil liner, liner pots, eye primer, shadow stick, liquid and cream is one subcategory, and then glitter and pigment is another subcategory. And I went through this hard this last year. So liquid liners, I had 31 last year. This year I have 23. Only the ones that I either A, want to try, or B, know to be amazing are what is left in my liquid liner category. I go through those about every 3 months, so I'm not mad at this number. It's another one of those products that's an easy throw in for gratis purposes or beauty box purposes, so it's one that I know is going to continue to be on rotation in my collection. I don't think I've bought one of those liquid liners. For pencil liners, I had 38 last year. This year I have 32. I am not mad at this because when I was going through my pencil liners, I realized that every single one of them is a completely different color. There was, I think, 3 blacks and 3 browns, and I'm totally okay with 3 blacks and 3 browns, although in my Shop My Stash, in my project pan, I just used one of those black eyeliners in entirety. So now I'm down to 2 blacks and 3 brown. I'm okay with those numbers, and those 2 colors being the ones that I have duplicates of is totally fine with me. For liner pots, last year I had 2, this year I have 2. It's the same 2. I need to get rid of them. I will never use them. I never do use them. I use the colored KVD Super Brow versus the black eyeshadow or eyeliner pots. One of them is also a water activated one from Suva, and I have such watery eyes. It's brand new. I've never even touched it. So I just need to get rid of it. I just haven't yet. For eye primers, last year I had 9. This year I have 8. This was a category that grew and then depleted again in my collection. Eye primer is something that I use every single time I wear my eye makeup, except for I think 1 day a week while I'm testing out eyeshadows against an unprimed eye for my palette review series on my channel. So it's something that I use an awful lot. I'm really happy that it's depleted by 1. Shadow sticks. Last year I had 13. This year I have 16. This became something that I grew fond of over this last year. It's not something that I've ever really paid much attention to over the last several years. And this year it became one of those things that I have either in my project pan or in my Shop My Stash every single week. I love using them as eye primers as well. Depends on the color of them and the color of eye makeup that I'm going after. They do more to help an eye look than maybe even a primer does sometimes. I could see these two categories coming together in the near future, but not anytime soon. I still have way too many of both to kind of bring them into one category. So I think where I'm going with this is I'm not surprised that that category has grown, but I've not purchased any one of those eyeshadow sticks. They've all come to me in gratis. Liquid or cream eyeshadow, last year I had 28, this year I had 22. This is another category I'm kind of going hard in. I'm trying to figure out which liquid eyeshadows I like to wear and which ones I do not. I have a drawer that I pull something out of every single Shop My Stash rotation to put in. A lot of what is gone in this is like my Stila glitter and glows, which I have either used up or have decluttered because they've dried out. There are some that have went into declutter, but I have used up quite a few. Glitter or pigments, I had 30 last year. This year I have 19. And this is another one that I'm really proud of the work that I've done in this subcategory, because I was hoarding all these different like glitters and pigments that I thought I would use one day. And then when I did my collection and declutter and through my Shop My Stash series, I've been filtering one or two in every single month, and I just have decluttered a lot of them because I just know I just won't use them. I learned through this process I'm not a fan of loose anything, loose blushes, loose powders, loose eyeshadows. I'm just not a fan of any of that because they're a mess. So the only loose eyeshadows or pigments that I still have in my collection are either like colors that I just can't live without, like I think my MAC Chartreuse pigment, or a couple of ones that I received in BoxyCharm, or I do have a couple of Bare Minerals ones left. The only glitters that I have left are the ones that are in pots that are not loose. The eyes main category was at 151 last year, and this year it's at 122. I am really, really proud of the work that I have done in my makeup inventory overall, but really proud of that because eyeshadows is a problem, or eye products is a problem for me. It's my favorite step in my makeup routine, so that has always been a problem area. Now, when we get into single shadows and palettes, that's a whole nother problem area for me. Single shadows is a main category, and I have two subcategories in there, containered and magnetic. So containered are the ones that come to me and say BoxyCharm or Ipsy, and they come in their own package, but they're not like glitters or pigments, right? And then magnetics are the ones that live in my Adept palette, or my, my magnetic palette that includes all my Cleona. I did buy 17 Cleona shadows last year. I fully expected that magnetic single shadow category to grow, but that one I started at 126 last year and ended at 112 this year, which is shocking to me and amazing to me considering that I purchased 17 Cleona shadows last year. But I also think I worked on these single shadows for 6 weeks. I had them going in my palette reviews series, and I got rid of so many single shadows that were either too similar to other single shadows that I enjoyed more as far as formulation goes, or were just awful single eyeshadows during that 6 weeks time. So I'm really thankful that I actually spent some time with my single shadows this last year, because that is the reason for that depletion. And then for my containered shadows last year, I had 31. This year I have 25. A lot of these again went in, declutter, because I just am not using them. So in my single shadows category, last year I had 157, and this year I have 137. So I depleted that by 20 overall. I'm really happy with that number. For palettes is a problem area for me. Last year I had 199 when I came to you with my inventory. I will tell you, throughout the year, I track everything on a spreadsheet, and throughout the year, I know that number got up to 215, I think it was, at one point in time. I did my collection and declutter video. It was the very last video that went up in 2022 because I thought it was fitting. It's my favorite category. It's a problem area for me. I love my eyeshadow palettes, and it's the biggest area for me as far in terms of like a single solitary item. Last year, I clocked 199 in my inventory. As I said, it did grow throughout the year, but this year I'm clocking 178. I am proud of that. That's 21 less palettes than I had last year at inventory time. And I know that I got rid of 39 eyeshadow palettes in that collection and declutter. Eyeshadow palettes that I did not love, that I had already reviewed, that didn't make any sense for me to be holding on to, and or eyeshadow palettes that were in my collection that I was never going to use because they're just not my color story, and why not give them away to somebody while they are brand new and untouched that is gonna love it. So really, really proud of those numbers. So in terms of my inventory, let's go through this really quick. Every single category did deplete. Every single category saw a depletion in number except for the base category, but the base category has one new subcategory that had 8 items in it. Had that not taken place, that category would have also seen a negative in numbers. This does not include anything in my giveaway drawers because those don't belong to me. I've never put them into my collection and they will never be in my collection. It also doesn't include anything in my declutter drawers because I've already taken all those items out and they are going to different homes. It doesn't include skincare, hair care, body care, any of that. It also doesn't include samples unless it's something like this size or bigger. I do bring those into my overall collection because I use them and don't really consider them to be a sample. I consider them to be a mini or a travel size. So blister packets are not included in this. Palettes, as I said earlier, regardless of however many, pans are in that palette, a palette is considered one item. But it could be up to and including, my Natasha Denona eyeshadow palette. Some of them have 28 pans in there. The new subcategory in the base category is other, and I thought it was important to bring that category in because these days I am buying fixers instead of multiple different shades of something that I love. And I'm really proud of the work that I was able to do. My beauty budget last year, the goal was to not bring more than 35 items into my collection this year. So when I did inventory last year, I did not want to have more than 35 more items in my collection this year than what I had last year. I brought into my collection last year 238 items. 238 beauty items. I never went over my points, though. I'll get there in a second. Those 238 items were worth $6,850. Of those 238 items, 93 of those items were gratis items. 71 of them were items I purchased, and 74 of them were others. So they came in a beauty box, or they came from my mother as gift, or I purchased them on points. I don't count those against me because I have already spent the money, so they don't count as an item that I spent new money on. I emptied 78 beauty items, beauty specifically, inventory items. Those 78 items were valued at $1,488. Of those 78 items, 19 of them were gratis items worth $385. 35 of them were items that I myself purchased worth $755, and 24 of them were other items, so gifted point purchases worth $348. So I really think I did a really good job, if I'm honest with you. I decluttered 289 items. I don't like that number because that's almost 300 items that I, at some point in time, brought into my collection and didn't use enough and decided to get rid of. I didn't break that down into categories where those declutters came from. Unfortunately, maybe I'll know that for next year, but I am not proud of decluttering 289 items, if I'm honest with you. But I am happy with it, if that makes any sense. I'm not proud that I decluttered that many items that I'm not using in my makeup collection, but I'm happy with it because they are not items that I was using. A very, very minimal amount of those went into the garbage, and the rest of them went to the people in my life that I can give makeup to. I have 2 daughters, I have a sister, I have a sister-in-law, I have moms, I have aunts, I have people in my life that, and a daughter-in-law, I have people in my life that I can give makeup to, and those makeup items went to somebody who will love them. My beauty bank started with 35 items in it, and I ended with 20 items in it. And how my beauty bank worked was that I started with 35 items. For every item I purchased, I lost a point. But as I used an item up in entirety, not a decluttered item, but used something up, emptied it, I gained a point. At the end of the day, I ended with 20 points, December 31, but I should have ended with 40 points because I, in October, depleted my beauty bank by half, and that half was 20 points. So while I purchased 71 products, I also emptied 35 products that I purchased, 19 products that I got in gratis, and 24 products that were given to me as gifts or other. I'm really happy with these numbers. In 2020, my inventory started at 769 units. In 2021, I was up to 1,061, and in 2022, I was up to 1,244. If I had brought in 35 items, I would be somewhere around 1,300 1,300 units in my inventory. And this year, I am starting inventory at 1,096 units. I'm so proud of myself. I am so proud of the work that I have done in using my products and also getting rid of stuff that I just am not going to use. My collection will never be small or minimalistic, but I do want it to be curated to the things that I absolutely love using. So I hope that you guys enjoyed this video, and if you did, I hope that you'll want to give it a big thumbs up. If you are kind of a numbers nerd and an Excel spreadsheet nerd like myself, I think that you'll like this channel. If you're not, and this wasn't your cup of tea, I promise you I have something in my collection of videos that you will enjoy. I have about 900 videos out there for you to choose from. I implore you, please go check out some of my videos. I would love for you guys to subscribe to my channel and hit that notification bell so that you're notified every single time I upload. I think I'm a kick in the pants to hang out with, and I would love to welcome you into my YouTube fam. Thank you guys so much for being here today. I appreciate every single one of you so very much. And I just hope that you all are safe out there, that you're all healthy, you're doing well, you're getting along as best you can in this crazy world that we're living in, and that you are all loving each other, but loving each other from afar. And until next time, bye friends.